in one corner of one country, in one continent, on one planet, that's a corner of a galaxy, that's a corner of a universe, that's a corner of a multiverse, that is forever growing and shrinking and creating and destroying and never remaining the same for a single millisecond. Two people are about to eat sandwiches and talk about science, software, and stuff. Welcome to the Geekly Chronicles!
This could all go terribly wrong. We could all end up vomiting all over everywhere and being unable to continue with the show.
Just an average episode, really.
Yeah, essentially. And if Romulan Ale doesn't have us vomiting, we also have the bad song of the week.
Indeed.
See what I did there?
Nicely done. Which should be similarly vomit-inducing.
Yeah, we'll let you know what those songs are very shortly as well. We're also going to have a couple of different discussions this week as well. So here in the UK, hello, of course, to those of you not listening from the UK. I'm sure there are an equally large number of you. Everywhere in the world, well, not everywhere, most kind of democratic nations have elections, and everyone has different opinions on those elections. Are they good? Are they bad? What happens to the people who are standing in those elections? But also, are people just sick of it? And also, what about those people that are going to be voting for the first time? Are they actually excited about coming in and having a say in this system that many people call broken? And so we're going to be talking to some first-time voters and first-time voters who are geeks. We're also going to be talking reasonably sarcastically about the whole election thing, because that's what we do.
It is indeed.
Leading on from that, something which may or may not be related to certain parties' manifestos: killer robots that can power themselves.
Mm-hmm. That is terrifying.
It's terrifying, it's scary, and it's not that far away. So we'll talk a bit about that as well. Don't forget also, we've got the takeaway giveaway that we do every week. So wherever in the world you are, we will buy you breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on what time of the day it is. I believe in Australia it's breakfast time. Mm-hmm. It's probably about lunchtime in certain parts of the US. Here in the UK, it's dinner time. In all of those places, it's probably light right now, which is great. Mm-hmm. Hello if you're from the dark part of the world.
Wherever that is.
Yes, wherever it is dark currently. Hello. I was trying to sound dark and mysterious there.
I'm not sure if that came off. Anyway.
Yeah. So we'll start off with a song then. We've got lots of great songs to play this week. Some requests that we've already had in. A bunch of other stuff that's going to be quite cool. But this one is one that I was thinking of playing last week, but we didn't quite get around to. Before we continue on with that, there's a debate currently going on in the chat room as to whether it's called dinner or tea. If, of course, you are in the UK and you call your evening meal tea, you're wrong and should leave the country immediately.
That's very true.
Yeah, it is dinner. Tea is a beverage, or a tea break, or afternoon tea is something that can happen with sandwiches and cakes and stuff, and that can happen at various times of the day. But if you call your dinner tea, it's wrong.
Yes.
I mean, there's no debate to be had. No. It's wrong. We've got a couple of other people here in the studio with us this week. Can we get a holler from the sofa? Do you think that it is wrong to be called dinner or tea? I think Catherine's walked over to the mic. Hello.
Hello.
Dinner or tea?
Well, I think the main meal of the day is your dinner.
Yes.
Like, for example, you have Christmas.
And that's the end of that. We've cut her off because she's not going to then give us anything else on that side of it. So no. Do you agree that there is a meal in the evening called dinner?
There is today.
There we go.
There is today.
There we go.
Nice diplomatic answer there.
There we go. And from the other person on the sofa who is eating dinner currently, can we get a thumbs up or a thumbs down on whether it's called dinner instead of tea? Yeah, we've got a yay and a thumbs up, so that's what we go.
It's very good. The chat room is agreeing. Dinner is dinner.
It's the Geekly Chronicles. It's all about pizza and physics and stuff.
There we go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Moving on.
We could talk a little about the bad songs of the week.
We could indeed.
So, as always with this feature, both Chris and myself pick a terrible, terrible song. Or a song that we think is terrible, and we let you decide. So on Twitter, in the chat room, on Facebook, you've got to let us know which of the two songs you think is the worst. And at the end of the show, we'll take that out. And so, tell me about your song today.
Well, my song. Last time we were on air, I said that the song that I chose then was the worst song in existence. I was wrong. It was pointed out to me during the events of the weeks that followed that the song I've chosen this time is the worst song in existence. The song that I've chosen this time is #selfie by the Chainsmokers. That is genuinely painful for me to say.
So, I mean, not only is the name of the band truly terrible,
Yes.
and not only is the fact that it is actually #selfie,
Yes,
not
it
just
is.
selfie, but it also sounds a bit like this.
She's so short, and that dress is so tacky. Who wears Cheeto? It's not even summer. Why does the DJ keep on playing Summertime Sadness? After we get to the bathroom, can we go smoke a cigarette? I really need one. But first, let me take a selfie.
No.
No, not even a little bit.
So yeah, I mean that is a really terrible terrible song.
The worst.
Yeah. However, I've come up with one that I think is worse, and
Have you though?
yes, and largely because of the reaction to it as well.
Right.
So this was a number 6 hit in Lithuania in 2008. No, hang on, I pressed completely the wrong button there. And it's a song by 3 kids
Right.
called the Pizza Kids
Right.
about how much they love pizza.
Oh dear.
We like pizza in the morning. We like pizza every day.
Number 6 in the charts,
How?
Chris. Number 6
How
in the
did
charts.
they do that?
Well, maybe I thought it got better.
I like pizza, pepperoni, mozzarella, and anchovy.
He likes
see.
pizza, pepperoni, mozzarella, and anchovy, apparently.
Right. Well, first and foremost, I don't think I actually know anyone who likes anchovies on pizza.
Love anchovies on pizza. What are you talking about?
What? You don't like busted. You do like anchovies. I have no idea with you anymore.
I have taste.
Shut up.
Someone in the chat room, Alex, has pointed out they have banned selfie sticks at the Worldwide Developer Conference this year, and people are very happy
that's
for that. That's
delightful.
very good. It's nice that we
Yes.
won't get some ridiculous selfies coming out of. I mean, San Francisco is hipster enough without
Yes.
the selfie stick.
Indeed.
So at some point this week, you have to choose whether selfie or whether our lovely.
We like pizza in the morning.
Is going to be the worst song of the week.
Pizza isn't a breakfast food. Anyway,
Have you never had cold pizza for breakfast?
no. Pizza is a food you have for lunch or dinner. Pizza is not a breakfast food.
Okay, we need your answers, please, in the chat room and on Twitter. Is pizza a breakfast food?
You ever get the feeling that you're just doing more and more to get yourself fired?
Well, I would just say drop that shovel and walk away from the hole at this point in time. But hey, what do I know?
Indeed.
So, we said that we'd have a bit of a talk about killer robots.
We did.
So I've kind of been a few different news stories have floated into my attention over the past few weeks.
That's never a good thing.
No, well, it does happen, but there have been a lot of different things going on in the news and in media, and I saw a news story this morning that was that there is now an internal camera that can take pictures forever.
Right.
And the idea is that an inventor realized that the same technology that powers a solar cell, that charges a solar cell, it's a photo receiver, which is the same as what you have inside a camera that detects the image that's there, which is great. So what he's done is developed a camera, or let's say it's American scientists, so they... And essentially, you can take a picture, and when it takes the picture, it generates power to take the next picture.
Right.
So it can take one photo a second forever,
Okay.
as long as there is a source of light from which to take, of which to capture in the photo. It will take the next photo,
I see.
and so it can photograph things forever. And so, it's kind of. eternal power technology is really fascinating. And then I was also thinking, there's been a lot of kind of AI conferences and things going on this week. There's actually been a weapons conference happening to address the idea of what happens when our drones get smarter than us, or what happens when our drones are capable of making human-like decisions.
Scary.
Yeah, and so it was focusing on, they essentially want to ban the development of artificially intelligent drones because they're worried that all of the emotion that comes with a human decision, whether that's good or bad, would be removed from the equation. Suddenly you're facing a whole set of different things. And then I was also looking at a news story that was basically focusing on the fact that robots are starting to replace humans. So there's now a robot kitchen that can create entire meals and you don't have to do anything at all.
Well, that sounds a lot less scary.
Properly prepared meals. So they had it do something really complicated, and it was making like crab bisque and lobster thermidor. It can also do beans on toast and things like that. But it does it all from scratch, freshly prepared, and it just absolutely amazing food that this robot was creating. So what happens when you combine robots so sophisticated that they can make food, 3D printing technology that we already have today, artificial intelligence, and eternal batteries?
Well, the answer that I would like to give is a kitchen that just makes food for the rest of human existence, but I have a horrible feeling that the answer you're looking for is killer robots.
Well, I'm thinking killer robots. I would love to think that food was really the ultimate outcome of the AI hive mind. But at this point in time, I'm actually worried that we're getting quite close to killer robots trying to destroy us all. So I'd love to hear your opinions. Listeners, have you ever had a run-in with a killer robot? Have you ever created a killer robot? Are you working in a lab currently building killer robots? If so, please give us the GPS coordinates. We'd love to know. We promise we won't try and shut you down. Simon says in the chat room, you have to put the ingredients in special containers. There's no AI. You have to have the exact ingredients. It can't subsidize. Strap it to an AI drone, and then you've got a recipe for disaster.
Really? Recipe for disaster?
Well, I'm talking about food-making robots.
King Ding Down in the chat room. Created a killer robot? Yes, on Civilization 5. Nukes were better.
I don't know. See, I've played that on Civilization 5, and you get the what's it called, the something death robot or something. And actually, they're very effective if you manage to develop it early in the game, and then you've got giant stompy robots. Nobody else does, and it's very easy to win. Then
I see.
But far from it just being a game. I mean, do you kind of want a giant death robot? There we go. That's what it's called in the game. Thank you very much for that, Dan. But there are now robots in our hospitals. There are robots in our kitchens. There are robots in our restaurants.
There might be a robot in this very room.
There might be a robot in this very room.
I know it's not me.
No. Well, if it was me, I want a refund. But there's a a lot of scaremongering going on in the media as well. I'm just looking at a news article from the 13th of April. Will robots destroy our livelihood? They're coming to an office near you. Job-gobbling robots that can do your work better and more cheaply than you can.
Job-gobbling robots just sound like a robot that's going to run around your office and just eat people. That sounds... it steals people from in their chairs.
Yeah, do you know the Chris Simpson's artist? Artist that posts on Facebook and things. When Jeremy Clarkson lost his job on Top Gear, he did a news, magazine style opening thing that had Jeremy Clarkson fired for eating his producer.
Yeah.
BBC chief just wants him to stop eating people. It just reminded me of that. Jeremy Clarkson is actually just a person eating robot.
I've often suspected that Jeremy Clarkson is actually a killer robot because...
The news article goes on to say, is this anxiety overblown? Could the money released by the AI revolution create a boom that will ultimately lead to millions of new jobs? Jobs that we can't even imagine yet. Well, no, because, robots can think faster than we can. So if we've not been able to imagine the jobs,
then the
we
robots,
can be sure they will.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've already thought of them, filled them, and are doing them better than we can.
Dan says that job gobbling robots are basically printers with a paper jam.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Spend a whole day getting rid of those. Simon says that UKIP won't like those robots.
Oh, I guess not. Which is interesting because we're going to be talking about politics later as well. So we'll have
Indeed.
some people on the show. We'll talk about some of the differences in politics between now and certainly when other people were voting for the first time. And
Yes, and which party is best going to protect us from the killer robots?
yes, I mean I don't think that the TV debates have said enough about killer robots. To
No.
be honest with you,
No,
I'm
they have
feeling-
not.
I'm feeling like none of the major parties really have a killer robot based manifesto.
Although
Except
I do
obviously
know,
the Greens and the SNP that want to abolish them completely.
well, indeed. Although I do know that my hometown of Bristol has a zombie survival plan. So
A
that's always
zombie
good.
survival plan.
Yes.
Is that basically because after a Sunday morning when people are walking around Bristol, they look like zombies?
Pretty much.
Okay. Apparently, just looking at the chat room, UKIP
Yes.
said that waive tuition fees for tech and engineering courses. Joke's on them. That
Yes.
will just make the robot uprising happen faster.
It will.
Can you imagine a robo-farage?
Oh, God.
There you go.
Oh, that. I don't know if that'd be better or worse, because that would be funnier, but he would also have the capability to destroy all humans. So,
Which is really no different from now. So
Well, true.
It's the Geekly Chronicles. It's all about relativity and particles and stuff.
we do want to talk about politics. So here in the United Kingdom, we have an election coming up on May the 7th.
Yep.
And the way that politics works here in the UK, it's a general election. We've got lots of different parties battling it out to try and get a majority in our Houses of Parliament. They're slightly different than voting for a person or the kind of two-party system that we've got out in the US. I'm not entirely sure how politics works in many of the other countries in the world. Some have prime ministers, some have presidents, some have dictators, some have robo-farages.
Yep.
And so there are lots of different things. And a lot of people are voting for the first time this year as well. Some people kind of very politically minded. There are lots of parties here in the UK that people can choose from. There's the main kind of Conservative Party, the Labour Party, Liberal Democrats, Greens, Pirate Party, the Scottish National Party, Plaid Cymru. Did I say that right?
I think it's Plaid
That's-
Cymru, but
Plaid Cymru. That's
something like
the
that.
Welsh,
The Welsh one.
National Party, essentially. And lots and lots and lots, hundreds, right through to the monster raving loony party,
yes,
which is a very good party.
it is indeed.
They had a cat as their president for quite some time as well. A
Hmm.
party with a cat as their party president.
I could get behind that.
Yeah, and so we're going to be joined by a guest now. So we should have on the line first-time general election voter and politically minded student Dylan. Hello, Dylan.
Hello, hello. Thanks for
Hello.
having me.
There we go. Hello.
It worked. Hurrah.
Fantastic. I love it when technology comes together.
Indeed.
So you're a person, Dylan.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, not a robo-farage.
Not yet,
I
anyway.
hope not. Not as far as I know.
No. And so, what really kind of piqued your interest about politics?
I quite like, I have to say, the conflict almost. I think what's so great about being in a democracy is the whole element of having multiple parties that can bicker and argue and disagree. So I actually like it for the whole the problems, in a sense.
So you like the conflict.
It's enjoyable. Yeah.
So a kind of conflict appeals to you then. So obviously, once election time is over, we have then a government elected. Are you also a fan of the ongoing conflict? So the fact that in our Houses of Parliament you have the opposition, you have the governing party, and then the parties that aren't governing that will kind of argue and battle it out. Is that something that's appealing as well?
Definitely. To the extent that you often see in Prime Minister's questions where it gets a bit picky and a bit childish, really. Anyone who's watched Prime Minister's questions will know it sort of dissolves a bit into the primary school classroom.
Yeah, but that, I mean, is there really a middle ground then? Because that really seems to be why a lot of people are disillusioned with politics, it seems, is that people just see Prime Minister's Question Time and they see some of the debates and they think, well, it's just a bunch of kids really just having a laugh and yelling at each other, and are these people really fit to govern us?
I think it's slightly unfair. I mean, Prime Minister's Questions is sort of the weekly circus show, the sort of big check out what we're doing in governments. We're all getting together and having a laugh. But I mean, nobody likes it. I don't think even most politicians like it. If you watch sort of footage of the House of Commons during an average day, it tends to be quite civilized, and there's good arguments on all sides, I think.
So why don't we see that, do you think, in things like Prime Minister's Questions? Why is the public face of politics so much more childish than the actual kind of coalface?
I think, admittedly, in a sense, it's not so appealing. I mean, people say they want more serious politics and less jokiness, but in a sense, if you want a bigger audience paying attention, whether it's good publicity or not, I think you get more of an audience by having this weekly show that's semi-serious. There are still serious points made, but also people sort of cracking jokes at each other.
Okay, well, I mean, obviously it's kind of a matter of personal opinion, and I'd love to hear kind of in the chat and on Twitter and things what people think about that. Do you like the type of politics we get with things like Prime Minister's Question Time, or would you rather it were, as Dylan said there, people talking about more serious politics? But Dylan, obviously, we're not going to ask you who you're voting for, because obviously that's something that is socially very frowned upon, and we would never do that. But I know that obviously, being someone who's interested in politics, you'll have an opinion on the kind of party political system that we're in currently, and when you compare things like politics in the UK, where you have literally hundreds of parties, to somewhere like the US, where it's much more between 1 and 2. What do you like and dislike about that whole kind of party political system?
I'm definitely in favour for, in a straightforward sense, the more parties, the better. The more varied opinions and voices, the better. It is a bit crazy in America that it's pretty much 2 parties, virtually anyway. I quite like, specifically in elections, I think we have a sort of stricter system on what you can and can't do here. So, for example, the parties have the spending limits, whereas in America, I don't know if they do, or if they do, it's extremely high. So I think in terms of elections, I think we do it a little better, to be honest, and America does become a massive show, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously still some parties have bigger budgets than others, so certainly we'll see TV adverts, party political broadcasts for the Labour Party, for the Conservatives, the Liberal Democrats, those bigger parties that are very much kind of well established. And yet for some of the smaller parties that are around, you don't tend to see that. I mean, in the 1997 general election, there was a party, the Referendum Party, that was standing in many, many seats, and they have never been able to afford a TV campaign. Similarly, when UKIP was a much smaller party, I mean, again, the 1997 general election had many people standing for UKIP then as well, but almost nobody had heard of them. And I guess one of the things about UKIP, the United Kingdom Independence Party, that has become so front in our minds more recently is because of the more kind of mainstream media exposure that they've been getting. So while the spending limits are a really good thing, like you say, is it not still the case that really the more a party can pay, or the more media favour a party can curry, the more people are going to know about them?
Well, definitely. I mean, it's a shame that it's great to have, as I said, so many parties, but of course you are going to get those that are small, that are buried underneath and don't really get a fair chance. And as you say, money can't. Maybe limits how you can spend your money, but there's always place you can invest your money. Certain newspapers support some parties, so it is unfair. And I couldn't necessarily offer any suggestion on the spot about what to do about that. Although there is a great little page on, I think, the BBC News site at the moment, where they're doing, I think maybe each day or every other day, they're doing an interview with the leader of very small parties for a few minutes, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And Simon here in the chat room has said, "I want a bunny party. They could build as many robo-farages as they like, and I'd still vote for them because I love bunnies." And
Can bunnies build robo-farages? Can bunnies build robots?
can
Are they
bunnies,
special?
can bunnies build robots? I think is probably now going to be the biggest question of this election.
Indeed. And if bunnies can build robots, are they too going to multiply like, well, bunnies?
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a question for another time, but certainly the idea of having kind of a party for everything and almost everyone could have a party that suited them. I kind of agree with you in many ways, Dylan. I think the fact that anyone can get 10 members and have a constitution and form a political party is brilliant. But realistically, with the electoral system that we have, are people really going to get votes? Are those parties ever going to have any decision-making power?
No. Well, as it stands at the moment, I don't think the small parties have a very good chance, which is a shame. And I think my main problem with what we have now, rather than, of course, we don't have proportional representation in Parliament, you get all these kind of this tactical voting and parties talking about, you better vote for this party if you want to get this party in. You better vote for us if you don't want this other guy in. And it can be a bit nasty in a sort of a sense that it doesn't really have to be if we could vote in a different way where, your vote counts for more because, say 5% of people vote for one party. That party has 5% membership in Parliament. So...
Yeah, well, so Joe here in the chat room has just said he feels it's quite undemocratic when a party could win, say, 5% of the popular vote, but then have no actual seats, so no actual power, even though people have voted for it. And the point that he's making there is that our votes need to count more.
Yes, we could introduce proportional representation or the alternative vote thing that they tried to get through a few years ago, where you rank them in order of preference to maybe make our votes count a bit more than they do.
And I mean, would that be better than the system that's currently in place?
I would think so, yeah. I think overall, as a democracy, we're pretty good. We have a pretty decent system in place, and it's just these sort of kinks that we need to work on reforming and changing. And already, I think people have started to talk about, perhaps before the next general election, we'll already have a change in how the voting system works. I hope so. I think that'll be good.
Well, and so as you're kind of voting in the general election for the first time, although I know that you've had the opportunity to vote in smaller, more local elections previously, the kind of complicated nature of the way that our votes count, the first past the post system, party politics, all of that stuff, was it a confusing thing to get into as a first-time voter?
I think it could be if you jump straight into it. I mean, I've kind of had a fair idea of how it works for maybe a couple of years and slowly building upon knowledge bit by bit. I don't think it's incredibly confusing if you look at it carefully. It's just a bit ridiculous in sense, I think, more than confusing.
Okay, well, we'll hear from some more first-time voters and kind of hear more about that a little later on. But for now, Dylan, thank you very much for your thoughts on voting in the electoral system. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Awesome. Cheers.
Thanks very much. And we've had a lot of really interesting stuff here in the chat room. And people kind of talking about the fact that votes need to count more. People are talking about votes at 16 rather than the current kind of voting at 18 limit, some form of proportional voting, and the ability for people to actually sack their members of parliament if they're not doing a good job. Yes. All very interesting things. So we'll come back to that. We'll have a quick musical interlude, and then we'll get on. We'll talk to some other people. We'll canvass some more opinions. But it's very fascinating for me because it took a long time for me to really understand how that political system works, and I think that a lot of the changes people are suggesting might actually make it simpler for first-time voters to understand as well. But yes, let's take a break from politics very slightly to have something a little bit more rocking.
Indeed.
Was that? Do people say rocking?
I don't know.
Am I cool?
I'm not cool, so I don't know.
Am I cool? Please, answers in the chat
Yes.
room, please. Answers
Are
on
we out of
postcards
touch,
at
or
Geekly.
is it the children who are wrong?
That just, I think, earns you uncool points.
I've already got plenty of uncool points. I'm not trying to keep any secrets here.
So, really enjoying a lot of the discussion around robots and bunnies.
Yes?
A lot of that is very cool. It's making me think a little bit of Buffy,
Yeah.
which is never a bad thing.
No.
And thanks again for our guest there, Dylan, for being on the show. So we've had a great discussion. There's stuff going on in the chat room about votes at 16, people talking about ways to make our democracy better, which is brilliant. I love the fact that here in our chat room, we are not mimicking the Prime Minister's question time style of talking to each other.
Indeed.
People are respecting one another. It's
Incredible.
I know PMQs could take a leaf out of the book of Geekly.
That just sounds scary.
The book of Geekly.
Indeed.
Anyway, we have another guest on the show. Chris, would you like to introduce our next guest?
This guest is a friend of mine. He will also be voting for the first time in this general election, and his name is Kieran. Kieran, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us on the show.
No problem. Nice to be here.
So we've been talking to first-time voters and about the whole election thing, and wanted to get your opinion kind of on the things we've already been discussing. So, do you think we are represented enough as voters?
I think the problem is with this current sort of demographic of people that are going to be voting for the first time. I don't necessarily think we are being represented properly, and I think that's because the major parties, the Liberal Democrats, the Labour Party, and the Conservatives, are all much of a muchness. They seem to pretty much have very similar policies, and very few of them actually target sort of a lot of the key issues in the world today. They're all very much old world issues. It's all still focused on, finances, the economy, etc., which are important, but there are much more pressing matters at this point in time. And I personally don't feel particularly represented, in honesty.
So, what would you say are the more pressing matters that we need to that we need parties to think about?
Well, in the current climate, I would say that something that is being massively overlooked the world round, but in Britain as well, is the climate. Then sort of the sort of science around the climate. I think we have really overlooked the issues to do with environmental science, but also the benefits that we can gain from environmental science, such as sort of cleaner renewable energy, because energy is becoming a much bigger issue. We've had the whole fracking debate going on, and I am staunchly against fracking myself because it's just very problematic. And it's one of these things that is both a short-term and long-term issue. And the other one, of course, and this is as someone who is just coming out of university now, is education, and just how much damage we've done to our education system in recent years.
So would you think then that a lot of the policies that are currently being mooted, a lot of the manifestos for this election are far more short-sighted than thinking about the bigger picture?
Absolutely. And I think that's a problem that is not simply about this current election. That's something that happens in every single election. Human beings seem to want short-term results. We want to see things happen with immediacy. The problem with that, of course, is that it inspires short-term thinking. And we run into problems along the road that they're very difficult and very expensive to rectify. So, and I think this is where the whole debate about the EU comes from. People seem to want to leave the EU because they believe that, first of all, we will save a lot of money in things like the membership fees, and that we will sort of gain some more independence. But thinking about it long term, we would utterly destroy our trade. And we would start, the problem is that we are trying to do everything to keep ourselves afloat in the short term, but we're not investing in an infrastructure in the long term.
That's a good point. Samathy in the chat room has just said the problem with dealing with energy and green initiatives is that we're already too late and way too far behind. Would you agree that we're actually a bit too late to start doing anything about our whole stance on climate?
Well, there is a lot of evidence to say that we are too late. I accept that. But there is also the point that even if we are late to the party, we can lessen the effects of environmental change significantly at this point. And we can also start to sort of pull the market away from sort of oil conglomerates and coal conglomerates. And we can stop them from destroying our countryside and our home infrastructure with things like fracking. Yes, I agree, we have taken far too long to get to the realization that green power is useful and necessary. But we need to do everything we can, because if we don't do what we can, then we've wasted our time. And I've wasted my vote.
Well, and as Dan has just said in the chat room, it's a bit like a college assignment. If you've started late, you still need to do it, and you still need to do something about it.
Yes.
And you mentioned there the oil conglomerates and people like that as well. Which leads to a whole other question with the voting and the electoral system we have in place right now that is kind of very geared towards tax breaks for corporates and things like that, or at least is perceived to be so. Is there a space for that kind of more socialist, more kind of green thinking? And is there ever, do you think, in a government, certainly in a government in this country in the next, say, 10 years, going to be that priority on renewable energy and certainly doing something about the companies that, in essence, hold so much of the money?
Well, I mean, on your first point about is there any space for our sort of our socialist sort of standpoint, we have to remember that actually our country as it is now is founded on those principles. And we go back to the Attlee government, the post-Second World War government, who brought in the welfare state, which we have all benefited from in the past years. It was the thing that created the NHS. It's what created our social security, those sorts of things. I think absolutely it's something that we desperately need to keep a hold of, because otherwise we start to go in the direction of people like the USA. And the USA is a continent divided, essentially. It's 50 countries at war with their own federal government because nobody can agree on anything. We already have a lot of problems with, Scotland and our but I think that, in the end of the day, people need to look out for each other, because the voting population is always going to be made up of a majority of people who are not insanely rich and are not going to benefit from all of these tax breaks. And we kind of need to focus on helping each other. And that may just be my personal view, and I accept that entirely. But I'm not in favor of these huge tax breaks to rich corporations who frankly wouldn't be dented by being taxed at the rate they should be.
That's a good point, that we need to kind of look out for each other as voters. Do you think, though, that the parties are actually... We can look out for each other as voters, but do you think the parties care enough about us? Do you think they care about protecting things like the NHS and welfare and that kind of thing?
It's very difficult to say. It really is, because it always feels like they absolutely have not got the best interests in mind when it comes to our sort of socialist infrastructure. And that's a real shame, because, again, I feel like we're going the way of the USA and we're trying to privatize far too much, and it's sending us into disarray. I mean, it happened back with Thatcher with the privatization of the railroads. And when we privatize things, it's not like in the USA where they kind of need things to be privatized because their country's just far too big for things to be run by the public sector. We can run things through the public sector. And the privatization just throws things into disarray. With the NHS, we've had a lot of problems of, doctors have become very, very rattled by just how much the coalition government is tearing apart the infrastructure. And the problem is that even if what these governments want for the NHS turns out to be better, they first have to destabilize it, which will cause immense problems. And that's, and that's an example there of me thinking more short term than long term. I suppose. But with something like healthcare, every minute counts, and investment in the long-term infrastructure is incredibly important. We had something recently where they tried to implement a new IT system, and it just didn't work, and they wasted billions of pounds on it, and then scrapped it. And it's that sort of thing. I can't say with any sort of security that I feel as a voter that the current parties, the Conservatives, the Liberal Democrats, and the Labour Party, are actually doing anything to benefit our sort of NHS, our rail system, our post office, etc.
There's some very interesting points. I definitely agree with some, if not all, of what you said there. Thank you very much for joining us to talk
no problem.
politics. Kieran, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lots of very interesting opinion here, both on the line and in the chat room, which is fantastic to see people having that debate. I like the central theme of everyone looking out for each other. That's nice.
Yes.
And it's a fantastic dream, obviously, but is that going to be a reality? Can we get that going?
Yes.
I mean, Samathi's asked what people's opinions are on HS2, which is, of course, one of the high-speed railways that wants to be built in the UK. And a lot of these issues around things like healthcare and socialism versus austerity and conservatism and things like that are debates that happen the world over as well. So it is really interesting to see that, and I'm sure we'll have lots more on the politics front coming in during the rest of the show.
Kira made a very good point there as well about the short-term solution thing. Samathi in the chat room has said, we were so slow at developing green power, we just started fracking because we needed to solve our energy problem.
Well, absolutely, and a lot of time it is needs must, I think, when people think about that. So,
well, there we. How's the fish doing?
I don't know. I've just got an advert that I have to dismiss after 5 seconds. That's annoying. The advert takes over everything.
Yes, so it sounds.
So I'm
see.
I'm eating stuff.
Okay.
What I can do is I can tweet a screenshot. This is good.
Yes.
So let me do that. I'll let you introduce the next segment, and I'll tweet a screenshot to the Geekly Twitter account.
Okay. I see. Well, the next segment is one of our favourites. It is the Tumble Fumble, and back joining us for said Tumble Fumble is our eccentric lover of science fiction, cheese and physics. It is Catherine. Hello, Catherine.
Hello.
Thank goodness the game's over. So, what have you got for us this week?
The game's never over. I just tweeted a screenshot and it gave me a reward for it.
Right.
I got a whole point.
Okay.
Well
Catherine, what have you got for us this week?
Didn't mean to steal your Tumblr thunder.
Nice, Tumblr thunder.
So,
Okay.
the Tumble Fumble. So, for those that don't remember, the Tumble Fumble is our eclectic friend, Catherine. You really grimaced at me calling you eclectic.
No, I think I grimaced harder at Chris saying I like physics. I used to like physics a lot, but then I went to study at university and it kind of sucked all the love right out of me.
Incidentally, the name of my second album. But so
physics sucked all the love right out of me. Out now.
It's a bit like Bat Out of Hell. It's that kind of Meatloaf style. Physics sucked all the fun. Anyway,
right.
I've now got a song to write now. Sorry.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. Yeah. So, so the idea here with this feature is that Catherine, who is an expert at Tumblr,
No.
is a Tumblr.
Just an expert at wasting time on Tumblr.
Well, that's the same thing, right? That's what Tumblr's there for. Is going to give us some
Tumblrs of the week.
Tumblrs of the week. So what have you found on Tumblr this week?
Well, I'm not sure if I found them this week. One is probably one of the first Tumblrs I ever found and followed, and the other one is a more recent find, but they're both Star Trek themed. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, make it so.
Okay, so the first one is an account called it's for Deep Space Nine and Voyager Confessions.
Right.
So that probably sounds a bit juicier than it really is. It's sort of not many people confess embarrassing things. It's generally just people giving their thoughts and headcanons about Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
So it's things like, I secretly had a crush on 7 of 9 and things like that. Is that the kind of thing? Or
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, who they ship, who they fancied.
Indeed.
What they think was going down. There's one that I'm about to reblog on the Geekly Tumblr, which is somebody just giving their thoughts on the drinking of Romulan Ale.
Which we will be sampling later, yes.
Yeah, so somebody has sort of messaged in to the account to say, every time I see the actors drinking Romulan Ale, I wonder if they're drinking blue Kool-Aid. Just the thought of Cisco nursing a blue raspberry like it's a 21-year-old Scotch makes me giggle.
That's very true. I know that Dan in the chat room said Romulan Ale sounds like something you'd put into a car. It
does.
In your kind of more Trekker mentality, can you give us what is Romulan Ale?
Well, it's a beverage made by Romulans. I'm not quite sure how it's an ale. It looks more like a spirit when they drink it. They drink it in like small, short tumbler glasses.
Tumbler glasses.
Tumbler glasses.
Oh, I see what you did.
And and it's supposed to be pretty potent stuff. The Federation has made it illegal because apparently it's so destructive to the brain cells or just destructive to behaviour.
I see. And Romulans are
An alien species on Star Trek.
fantastic. Are they a friendly alien species?
They're a bit mysterious.
I
So usually it's a bit of a Cold War scenario with the Romulans, but sometimes they're enemies, sometimes they're friends.
Interesting. So we'll be sampling a bit of Romulan Ale later. But what is your main fumble of the week?
Ooh. So this is one of my all-time favourite Tumblr blogs, and it's called Fashion It So. The URL for it is sttngfashion.tumblr.com, and it is a fashion blog about Star Trek: The Next Generation. So that might sound a little strange, but you haven't watched Star Trek: The Next Generation until you've watched it with the Fashion It So review next to you on your laptop.
So is this like, where the clothes came from, or is it like more of a critique?
It's a critique, a commentary with screenshots of, the fabulous 80s/24th century outfits.
I'm assuming this is a comedy critique.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I've actually cried reading this.
Of laughter, I'm assuming.
Oh,
not because you realised that you owned all the same things.
I wish.
You have all of Guinan's hats.
Yeah.
Just one of them.
Just one. That's enough. All you got to do is reupholster it.
Although once you've read the blog, you can submit your guesses as to which hat I have.
There we
go.
Yes.
So that's fantastic. So sttngfashion.tumblr.com, and it is fashion reviews of episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah,
fantastic.
They're working through the episodes in no particular order,
Excellent.
but there's a helpful menu on the sidebar that will help you find the episode that you're about to watch if they've reviewed it.
That's awesome, fantastic,
Indeed.
and real treat for Star Trek fans this week. Then, not getting an awful lot of chatter in the chat room. I wonder how many people in there are Star Trek fans. I'm a fan of Star Trek. I've watched through quite a number of the episodes. I think I've seen most. I think I've seen all of the Next Generation, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine. I haven't really watched the original series. I always found it a bit hard going. Really, the original series of Star Trek.
I think a lot of it I watched when I was between the ages of about 6 and 10. So there are a lot of episodes where my memory of them are a bit sketchy. But I have, I believe, seen them all.
Well, I hadn't seen any of Enterprise either, the newer series. I've been watching that recently, and it's been quite interesting to watch through. I'm actually quite enjoying it. I think I'm on series 3 of that now, and it's really good. But I don't know what it is about the original series that makes it kind of heavy going to watch. I can't really watch more than one of those in a row.
Yeah, it's something I run out of steam on. I can't do binge watching. I could maybe watch 2 or 3 in a day.
It's something about
then the next day
skinny
I won't
William
watch
Shatner walking around pretending to be cool before he stopped taking himself so seriously. It's William Shatner now, great. William Shatner back then, it's like, oh, you really think that this is cool?
I don't know. I suppose get a bit of a
But he still
reverse amusement out of
talks like this. Even then, that's what he seems to do.
It's kind of his
Well,
thing.
there we go.
It's his thing, really. I did quite like William Shatner, though. We last week's show we had one of his songs, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Wow.
if you want some Shatner gold, check out his sort of public service announcement video about deep fried turkey.
Deep fried turkey.
If
Tell us,
anyone
we
is
have to look
on
this up.
YouTube,
tell
and
us a
you're
little bit
fan
about
of
that. Well, I'm
William
going to
Shatner.
look it up right now. So tell us about deep fried turkey, and I'll see if I can find it.
Well, I don't know whether there was some trend in the US around Thanksgiving for actually, getting a sort of deep fat fryer machine and using it to cook your turkey. But some people were dropping in the frozen turkey into a big vat of boiling fat and obviously causing all manner of injury-inducing havoc.
Mm.
So they got William Shatner in to make a little warning video.
Right.
And so this warning video been turned into a song? I'm searching on YouTube, and I've got.
Yeah, it has, yeah. Although I think the original is probably better than the song. That's my humble opinion.
Okay, so I've got what appears to be that here on YouTube. State Farm Eat, Fry, Love, a cautionary remix. Is that the one?
It sounds like the one.
Let's give it a listen.
Hi, I'm William Shatner, and I love fried turkey. But turkey and oil are a dangerous combination. So watch this video. I want your comments on it. I want to know how you plan to keep yourself, your family, and me safe from turkey fryer fire.
I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey. I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey.
It started as a hunger. I was young and arrogant. Blinded by my hunger, I ignored safety.
I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey. I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey.
When I laid my hands on that fryer, I didn't want to let go. Back then, everyone was doing it. I once loved this piece of metal. Keep yourself, your family, and me safe from turkey fryer fire. So dangerous, you can't even imagine. Fried turkey tastes great. It's a great taste. I love fried turkey. But you gotta be safe. Hot, thermometer. Dingle dangle. Hot, thermometer. Where's the dingle dangle? Hot oil, wet frozen turkey. Push together, make steam. Pushing the hot oil and igniting on the open flame.
I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey. I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey.
Blinded by my hunger, I ignored safety. Spat in the face of science. Turn off the flame. Oh my goodness! What have I done? Oh, look at this. That is so stupid. Keep yourself, your family, and me safe from turkey fryer fire. So dangerous, you can't even imagine.
I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey. I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey.
That fryer took so much from me. But it gave me a healthy fear. Fire, metal, oil, and turkey are glorious when in harmony, but their power is unrelenting in careless hands.
That was brilliant.
Yes. Joe in the chat room said, "This is truly a sound to behold."
That's the most amazing thing I've heard in a really, really long time. That was amazing. Absolutely brilliant.
It was.
The video is fantastic as well. We'll put that up on the Geekly Tumblr. We'll tweet it out. It was a really, truly thing to behold.
Right.
Absolutely.
Literally coming at you at the speed of sound. It's the Geekly Chronicles.
Now, we did make a promise that this week we would try some Romulan Ale.
Indeed, we did. And Catherine has brought in Some interesting ingredients into the Geekly studio.
Yeah, so as a reminder here for those who may have tuned out during the last segment, Romulan Ale is a Star Trek legend, really. Across all the series, people have referenced it, people drink it. Romulan Ale is like a blue kind of liqueur that is generally widely regarded as an incredibly strong, very alcoholic beverage. We're going to attempt to follow a recipe that was in a 1996 Star Trek magazine. We're going to mix some of this stuff up. And so in front of me...
Wasn't that the recipe that we had a bit of trouble finding the ingredients?
It
Did you
was.
find an alternative?
I found an alternative. So we've got a recipe for Romulan Ale here. So we're making a virgin Romulan Ale here. So we're making an alcohol-free version, as some of us at the table either don't drink or are designated drivers. So this particular non-alcoholic version of Romulan Ale, we've got tonic water, cranberry juice, blue food colouring, lemon extract, and Tabasco sauce.
Right.
I think the lemon extract might have been from another recipe.
We
can just
shove
throw
a
it
little
all
bit
in there.
anyway. So I've got
it's
a
supposed
big,
to be really horrible.
I've got a big
so-
glass jug here in front of me, and we're going to measure some of this stuff out. I've got the ingredients list in front of me here. We're going to give this a go. We're going to drink it live on air. If we, if we start retching, then that might be an issue. But yeah, this is what should be an exceptional beverage. So I'm going to start off with the tonic water.
I really hate tonic water.
I'm not the biggest fan. I wouldn't. I mean, it's not. If I drink just a little bit out of the thing, it's a bit
horrible.
Oh, that's gross. That's disgusting. Well, let's hope.
Let's hope it can be improved with the Romulaniness of
absolutely.
Romulan Ale.
So
Joe in the chat room says he's got an ambulance on speed dial prepared for us.
So I'm going to put 200 ml of that in there. So I've popped that into that there, so you can kind of hear that sloshing around in there. Oh, hello. There we go. Too many cables. So that's in there. Next up is cranberry juice. So I've got here some jus de cranberry. 450 ml of that. So,
do we have enough jug for this? That will be the next question.
I think we're pretty much going to the top.
Yes, I think so. Certainly seems that way. There is a lot of cranberry juice going into that jug right now.
There we go. This is about that much. More?
Yeah, that was half as much as you should have added.
If we were 450, we should be pretty much full.
There we go.
Okay.
That's about that. So we've now got a very dark red looking thing.
Yeah.
I've now got some Tabasco sauce to add. It says 4 drops, so let's go. Right. Nothing's actually coming out yet. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go.
That was far more than 4, but there we go.
It looks like 4 to me. I don't know. So I've got that. That's going in there. I'm going to give this a stir up now.
What is it they say? It should forcibly open the sinuses when you sniff it.
That's interesting. Samathy says we should go for 6 drops. We've actually gone for about 9. So, we're in a good position there.
Yeah. I'm trying to open up this
over
blue food colouring here.
Yeah.
That's a really... someone else open that.
It's like
it really is a tiny bottle with a terrible little lid. So
it's like a tiny kettle.
Yes.
Right, there we go. Nobody can get this little bottle of blue open. There we go.
I know. Are you anywhere near?
Right, righty tighty, lefty loosey.
There we go. We've got the bottle open.
Okay, so if you can get started on opening up that lemon, I'm going to give this some blue.
Right, this should hopefully change the colour.
Okay, I don't think the lemon is in the recipe.
It's meant to be light blue, but putting blue and red together is just going to turn it black.
Yeah, it's kind of gone a very dark purpley black colour with the addition of the blue food colouring.
Well, that's okay. We'll persevere.
Yes. Let's see what the lemon does to it, which, may or may not
be
in the recipe.
Adding a drop of the lemon. And let's give that a stir.
Now it just looks a bit greasy.
It looks greasy.
It just looks
it
like
never looks greasy on the TV show.
No.
It is kind of a purple because it's red and blue mixed together.
Yes, it's not quite the fluorescent blue that it is on the...
well, if it didn't have the cranberry juice in it, maybe if you had like lychee juice or something that was a bit clearer. I mean, the alcoholic version just mostly has rum and a bit more rum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's pour this out then, shall we?
Yes,
So I've got this in here. I've got three non-tumbler tumblers in front of me.
Let's see
Greasy
how this
purple
goes.
juice.
Greasy purple juice.
Delightful.
This is Romulan ale, but a little bit ill.
It is a very interesting colour.
Maybe this is Riemann ale.
Someone in the chat room says, "Jesus Christ, that's a tiny bottle."
Absolutely. So here we go. We've got
Okay.
Romulan ale here. So grab your glasses. Is there a traditional Romulan thing that you say, or should we go with a good old kapla?
Oh, that's a bit more Klingon than
Yeah.
Romulan. I think the Romulans generally just give it a sniff before they knock it back.
Oh,
Wow,
that's an interesting texture.
Okay, well
developing on
let's
the top
have
of mine.
let's have a
Clink.
geekly clink. There we go. Okay, let's give
Right,
this a
let's
try.
try this.
Everyone, 3, 2, 1.
Not bad.
Oh, it's got an after kick.
Yeah, you
Yes.
know, I made much worse things
Yep.
in my student cocktail mixing days. They weren't quite as greasy as this.
No,
but,
it is. It
That
is a
lemon really
special
added
kind of
like a
greasy.
layer of grease to that.
It
That's
really did.
interesting. I mean, I might see if I can mix up a different one in here. So I'm going to put my glass.
I would
there
probably
and-
go with quite a lot of the tonic, a little bit of cranberry.
Yeah. So let me fill that up with.
Just absolutely go nuts with the Tabasco to give it that kick.
Yeah, the Tabasco
like
wasn't
it.
very strong, was it? Not really at all.
Joe in the
And-
chat room wants to know if we'll be making a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster next episode.
Oh, now that is a great idea. But unfortunately, I think those are actually quite
Deadly.
bad for you. Yeah.
Well, I suppose this is supposed to be not exactly.
Okay, so
A
go
health
mad
tonic.
with the Tabasco. How much Tabasco
is-
should I be adding here? I'm just kind of
That is
emptying
quite a lot
the
of
bottle.
Tabasco. That whole glass has got an interesting shade of orangey pink.
I can smell it from here now. Okay,
I
so
can
let's
smell it
mix
from
that
across
up.
the
Are
table.
your sinuses being forcibly opened?
They are,
I think we might be there.
And
Yes,
now-
we may well be
blue.
there. Let's see if this... Oh, that's a more satisfying
ooh.
blue.
Now
That's definitely
Romulan
a more
ale.
blue.
We need to. No, I need to get.
I mean,
picture of
that
this on the
intriguing
Twitter.
Tabasco scum on the top.
Try and mix it in a
Yum.
bit more there. Yeah.
Yes. Catherine's going to take a picture of this for the...
Can we tweet a picture of that too?
Yes.
There we go. Just selfieing with the. There we go. Okay, so I now have what looks like a blue Romulan ale in front of me.
Still
This
looks a bit nasty.
looks more successful, so we're going to give this a go
It's more
now.
blue, certainly.
It does look like it has a lot of Tabasco in it.
Yeah.
Let's give this a go. Oh! Oh! Oh, that's spicy.
I think we have found the recipe, listeners.
Wow.
We have...
Let me give some more of that.
Yeah.
a go. I know that
Not only have your
I believe,
sinuses...
much like at toast, you're only supposed to sip Romulan ale.
Yes.
That's why they serve it in such tiny glasses.
Yes.
Yeah,
Much
okay.
like Tabasco, Romulan ale seems to be forcibly opening your sinuses
Well,
and the
that
rest
is
of your
that is incredible.
digestive
That is
system.
incredible. It's not bad at all, but it's quite bitter, and it's my lips are bleeding.
Okay. You're actually going for the tonic. Well, Alex in the chat room says,
Disgusting
"What did you
tonic
expect
water."
from Tabasco?"
Well,
Which is a fair point, I suppose.
what did you expect from Romulans?
That's also true. Let's have a go on your
Yeah,
new
give that a
blend.
try.
Let's
Seriously,
try
it's
that.
very
I'm gonna
it's very
have a
different. It does
very
look-
small amount of this.
It does look much more like Romulan ale should look.
Oh! Ow! Ow!
Give that a try, Catherine.
Yes.
Go on.
Oh no.
Oh God!
Oh yeah, that's a little closer to what I imagine it's like.
Yeah, that sounds a bit more like. That tastes a bit more like how you'd imagine it.
A bit more like a fluid you'd put in your car.
Yeah. Genuinely tastes
God, it's like my
like
my lips are
liquid
burning.
fire.
my
Yes.
teeth are sweating. That's-
I think my tongue is actually on fire right now.
My tongue's okay, but yeah, my teeth.
Yeah.
My
My
lips.
teeth are melting slowly. My tongue is on fire.
I'm starting to see how the green blood thing might go. I think after drinking this, my blood probably would change colour.
Yes, Joe,
Yeah,
I think...
it's even affecting Tumblr because it desperately wants to post this photo sideways.
Oh, well, there we go. That's the effect that Romulan Ale has. Joe, I don't think we'll be needing that ambulance, but maybe a fire engine might do the trick instead.
Absolutely. So while we're digesting the start of our Romulan Ale, remember we still have the worst song of the week to decide on. So,
Yes, we do.
Chris, tell me a bit more about your song.
My song is #selfie by the Chainsmokers, which, as I said at the top of the show, is a name that truly pains me to say, not only because it's selfie, which is one of the most annoying words ever, but it's also #selfie, which is just everything that's wrong with the internet.
Well, and my song is got to number 6 in the charts in Lithuania back in 2008. It is Pizza Kids with...
We like pizza in the morning.
I remember someone in the chat room saying earlier that they just get really annoyed by the fact that they pronounce it pizza instead of pizza.
Well, it's just a different pronunciation, I suppose.
Well,
I like pizza, pepperoni, mozzarella, and panciuri.
Yeah.
I like pizza, pepperoni, mozzarella, and panciuri.
right. So, yes.
I like pizza.
Sorry, carry on.
Do let us know in the chat room and on Twitter.
I like.
You done?
Go on.
Do let us know in the chat room and on Twitter which of the songs you think is the more annoying, whether it's We Like Pizza by, what are they called? The
Pizza Kids.
Pizza Kids, or #selfie by the Chainsmokers.
I like pizza, pepperoni, mozzarella, and panciuri.
How can you not like that?
I don't know. It says on Wikipedia that #selfie. You said that yours got to number 6 in the charts, so I had a look, and mine did even worse than that, debuting at number 115 on the UK singles chart and moving up to number 42 the following week.
When was it released?
It was released on January the 28th, 2014. So it is over a year old and is still the worst song in existence.
Oh dear. Okay, well,
It got to number 11, it says, in the UK, and got to number 3 in Australia.
Amazing. So
Your fortnightly dose of random geekage. It's the Geekly Chronicles. It's all about cats on the internet and junk.
apparently, so
Yes.
as people have been pointing out to us, that this song is okay. That's it. Okay.
Yes, and let's not forget that Crazy Frog was a thing that went to number 1 in the UK, says Dan in the chat room.
Yeah, Crazy Frog was really terrible. 'Cause
It really was.
It was just that internet meme that then became a song. That
Yeah.
was I think
It
it was a
was-
ringtone. That
It
then
was a
became song.
ringtone, and then suddenly it was everywhere all the time.
My
for
dad
far too long.
bought that single, so he was one of the people that got it to number 1.
Oh dear.
The same kind of person that would buy the Mr. Blobby song and Star Trekking
Right.
and things like that. So,
Okay.
yeah, his taste in music was always a bit questionable.
Yes. Speaking of questionable taste in music,
Yes, yeah. We're not going to play the Crazy Frog.
No,
You'll be
we are not.
Happy, I think, to hear.
but we are going to start choosing our bad song of the week.
Absolutely. So we were going to set up a straw poll. Have we set up a straw poll?
I don't think we have. Just yell at us in the chat room. It's probably
Why don't
easier.
you set up a straw poll or a doodle or something while we talk about these songs?
Why not?
You've got like
I'll-
6 million computers in front of you. And so obviously we we run Bad Song of the Week. We play you a bad song. So we need you to help vote as to which song is the most terrible. This week we have the Chainsmokers with #selfie. I'd not heard this song before this morning. I listened to this song this morning when I was preparing the show. I almost didn't make it to the show.
Yeah.
I had a rusty spoon in my hand and I was about to gouge out both my eyes.
I very nearly kind of ended up in a pile on the floor screaming when I first heard this song and subsequently in preparation for this show. So it really does have that kind of effect.
And then there's We Like Pizza, which is such a repetitive earworm that once you've heard the song once, it will never, ever leave you, ever. I first heard this song about 4 years ago and it is still in my mind the absolute worst song I have ever heard, just because every now and then I'll be doing something else entirely random, and then suddenly it will pop into my head. I'll be sat there doing absolutely nothing of consequence, and all of a sudden it's... And then that's it. It's in my head forever. And what's worse, it makes me want pizza.
Yes. I can see why.
Yeah. It's basically like some kind of war rally or something. It's just lots of people marching saying... It's scary. It makes me actually want pizza. The only reason I ever eat pizza is because of this song. There is no other reason I would ever order a takeaway. I don't even eat loads. I'm not even big on food. It's just this song. This song ruined me.
I'm beginning to see your point, but also I'm feeling that my song is getting a bit of an unfair, shunning at the expense of We Like Pizza over and over again. Dan in the chat room has set up a straw poll at the same time as I was doing it, but we'll use Dan's because he was first. So there's a link in the chat room for if you want to vote for the worst song ever.
And yeah, we'll put that link up on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I shall get tweeting, and we shall find out which of those songs is the worst.
Oh, so far the pizza song has had 4 votes. 80% of you don't like the pizza song. I can't think why. At all. What were you about to say? Sorry, what was that?
Really? Great. Okay. So, if you want to vote for the bad song, just head to gkly.co/bad song and it will redirect you to the straw poll.
Fantastic. Okay, so we'll take a look at those results as they come in. Let's see, what have we got here? We've had... Oh, the pizza song is still in the lead with 80% of the vote. Selfie only 20%. So do you really think that song is only worth 20% of the votes? Because it is a truly terrible song.
It really is. It really is.
Mm-hmm. That's the We Like Pizza song still.
It is.
I was aiming.
Yes.
I was aiming for the selfie song.
That sounds like it.
See, that bit's not terrible.
That bit's not terrible, but then... Yeah.
See, that doesn't sound that bad. It's just the fact that it's got, annoying let me take a selfie person in there too.
Well, that's true, but that's kind of what makes it a terrible, terrible song. Anyway, yes, do get voting. We will tweet, we will share in the chat room the links to the straw poll and let us know which you think is the worst.
So
they do. So, shall we have a look at these results?
I've got them on my screen now. We have 43% of the votes for selfie.
How?
And 57... Oh, it's someone has just voted. It's 50-50. It is neck and neck.
It is. We need one vote to push this over the edge. Someone, please.
Someone, please
decide.
We need
Which
this.
is worse? Hashtag selfie by the Chainsmokers or
the pizza song?
That pizza song.
The pizza song was just winning, and now it is...
it is neck
Wow,
and
it is neck and neck. Let's see if something comes in the next few seconds. What have we got here? We've got... we haven't got anyone tweeting about the worst song of the week. We've got a few people just generally tweeting hello.
In the chat room, we've got King Ding Dan saying nothing will quite beat the auto-tune of Nick Clegg's Apology, which was indeed a very good song.
Yeah, very, very true. So what have we got? Let's see. Has anyone voted? No, we're still on 50-50. It is completely 50-50. Are we going to have to play both? No, wait. Oh, it is now 56% to hashtag selfie, 44% to that pizza song.
I see.
So it looks like this week you won't be hearing... Oh, hang on a second. It's gone back to 50-50.
Has it indeed?
It's gone back to 50-50.
I wonder how that happened.
Who keeps voting?
Is it you two on the sofa?
No, it's not that. So we've got Catherine is eating a chicken wing and shaking her head, which I think is the universal sign for it wasn't me.
Sounds about right.
Okay, well, we've got to solve this somehow, haven't we?
We have. And we want to avoid playing both songs, of course.
We do absolutely want to avoid playing both songs. The link for people asking on Twitter to vote for the song, strawpoll.me. Oh, no, sorry, gkly.co/bad song.
Figured that was probably easier than all the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone has just posted in the chat room, this is very interesting. Pizza Hut's 1994 web front is still online.
Oh, I see.
So we'll tweet a link to that. But Pizza Hut's PizzaNet
Oh, that's wonderful.
is still online.
If you would like to order a pizza to be delivered, please provide the following information.
Name,
And it's
street
got-
address, and voice phone.
So they call you back when you submit that form to get your pizza delivered. That's
How interesting.
truly amazing.
Okay, what's the straw poll doing?
The straw poll is at 50-50 once more.
wow.
Selfie was just ahead of it, but then it went back to 50-50.
Well, you know what I think we're going to have to do?
Are we going to have to play both of the songs?
Yes, but at the same time.
Okay, interesting. Oh, we've had another vote come in, and
It's
Selfie
hashtag
is winning
Selfie.
by one vote.
I concede.
Yes.
Much like most people, I think, will be doing in
Oh.
the general election.
2 more votes for hashtag Selfie than that pizza song. I think
You
I've
win.
won. Yeah, probably.
Anyway. So
God.
we have to give away our random takeaway of the week.
We do.
That'll be our
we do.
last act of this week's podcast. So who wants to take away?
Who wants to take away? We usually give it to who's been the most interactive. but
Interactive. God, we
that-
love that word.
That basically
don't we?
means we pick someone at random. Dan in the chat room says food, which, tough. Yeah, well,
That's certainly that's one way to request the food.
it is.
Let's see who has said the most interesting thing this evening.
We've had quite
Who
a
was
lot
it
of
that came up?
interaction.
So I came up with RoboFarage. Who was the one that came up with Bunnies building RoboFarage?
I think that was Simon. I think Simon came up with the RoboFarage bunny party thing.
Okay, so for sheer
Brilliance of invention.
yes, and for giving those bunnies a job that
Yes.
the RoboFarage can then take away and give to non-migrant bunnies,
Yes.
I think Simon,
You are our winner this week.
you are our winner this week. So thank you very much for the bunnies, for the RoboFarage, and for being such a good sport. Ran out of words to say there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Your fortnightly dose of random geekage. It's the Geekly Chronicles.
Well, it's
That's why you have that button.
absolutely. Yeah. It's almost time to wrap up for
It
this show,
is.
isn't it?
It is. It's been fun.
I was hoping you would continue talking.
I
there.
was really hoping that there would be some more words for me to say at that point, but there weren't, and I don't have any buttons to distract people with.
Well, all my buttons do.
It's all about cheese.
That's about it.
Easier than talking.
A little bit, yeah.
It's all about cheese. It's all about cheese. It's all about cheese. It's all about cheese.
I can make songs.
It's all about cheese.
I think we have to get Lucas in the studio
It's
to
all
do a
about cheese.
remix of We Like Pizza.
I like pizza, pepperoni, mozzarella, and anchovy.
It's all about cheese.
So there we go.
Right.
We've got lots of things on there. So I
Indeed.
guess the only thing to say from this week is that from me,
And from me, not Khan.
I'm not Khan either. My name's
We really have to get that sorted out. Okay.
What?
Finn O'Leary in the chat room has just said, Robot Farage makes me want to Photoshop Farage to look like a robot. Please do, and tweet that at us, at GKLYCO on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would be a very difficult job,
It wouldn't
really.
be a tremendously difficult job. Yeah, Dan has said, with his lack of emotion, surely he already is a robot.
Well, absolutely, and Catherine made the point earlier that with someone who has an affinity for kind of standing around having a pint, what robot do we know in a Futurama universe that already stands
Indeed.
around drinking
Drinking a lot.
and wanting a lot of people dead?
Yes.
Interesting.
And
Well,
Finn says, well, of course, but he needs more metal and antennae, which is a fair point.
yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you can
Yes.
think of lots of good things to do with Nigel Farage and an
Yes.
antennae.
Please do Photoshop them and tweet them to us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for listening to the show this week. You apparently have some exams coming up.
I do indeed.
But once those are over, we will be back on with the Geekly Chronicles. So give it
yes, we will. Sometime in June.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
says carefully.
Well, yeah, there we go. So there won't be a Geekly in May. There will be one in June, unless I decide to do one on my own, of course, or you get bored of wanting to be successful, and we just do that anyway.
Always possible.
Maybe I'll find someone to stand in. Maybe me and Catherine just have a chat about Tumblr for a little bit, and play more music with no English.
Right.
Or hamster dances. We've got to play the Crazy Frog at some point, really.
We
haven't
do. Now that it's come up, we pretty much have to.
Guest host, says King Ding Dang. We can, of course, do that. Absolutely.
Yes.
So we'll tweet about the next day at the podcast.
We'll stick it on the
we
website.
will stick it on the
We'll
website.
Stick it on
We'll
the Twitter. We'll
stick it
tumble
everywhere.
about it. We will yell it from rooftops. I'll shout it at people in the street. We'll get the word out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of yelling at people in the street.
Indeed. That's
Normally
how we got
it's-
half our listener base.
Yeah, absolutely. Normally, it's nothing about the podcast, though. I just randomly yell at people in the street.
That's very true.
Well,
But, yeah.
once again, thank you very much to everyone for listening to the show, and
Indeed.
we will speak to you next time. So I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and drink my Romulan Ale.
Mm-hmm.
What? Here it goes. Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be because you put about a litre of Tabasco in it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.